A dark silence spread across the meeting hall of the Orion Council. Thousands of alien delegates sat in fear, their scaled, furred, and armored bodies shifting uneasily under the glowing lights. They had called for help, but what had arrived was only one human ship. The request for aid had been desperate. The Varrock Horde, a brutal war empire, had begun tearing through the outer colonies. Entire species had been burned to ash. Armies that had fought for centuries were swept aside as if they were nothing. The Orion Council had begged Earth to send fleets, armadas strong enough to stand against the Horde. Instead, Earth had sent a single ship. The council chamber was filled with whispers of anger and disbelief. One ship. Do the humans mock us? Hissed a serpent-like diplomat, her voice sharp with rage. The Horde will crush this lone vessel like dust beneath a mountain. Others agreed. Perhaps Earth does not understand the danger. Perhaps they are too arrogant. But in the far corner of the chamber, an old gray-skinned scholar trembled as he studied the human design. His long fingers tapped the holoscreen nervously. No, he whispered to himself. They do understand. That ship, it carries names we should fear. On the orbital docks above the capital planet, the ship stood silent. Its black hull reflected no light, as if it was swallowing the stars around it. No banners flew. No escorts waited. Only the single ship, resting quietly, while alien eyes watched in both confusion and fear. The Varrock Horde wasted no time. They sent a strike fleet to challenge the humans, eager to humiliate them before the entire galaxy. 30 warships, bristling with weapons, surrounded the lone vessel. In the council chamber, the delegates leaned forward, waiting for the end. Surely the humans would be destroyed. The Varrock commander appeared on the holo-display, his armored frame towering. His tusks glistened as he laughed. Humans, he roared, you dare insult us with one ship? Surrender it, and I may allow your species to live as slaves. For a long moment, the human captain said nothing. He was calm, his face steady, his voice quiet. This ship is not here to surrender. It is here to end you. The Varrock laughed harder, the sound shaking the chamber. End us. With one ship. The human captain leaned forward slightly. Do you know its name? The Varrock commander snarled. A name means nothing. Power decides war. The human only smiled. Then remember this name, Erebus. At that moment, the silence of space shattered. The single ship moved. Not fast. Not loud. Just a smooth, terrifying shift, like a predator finally deciding to strike. The Erebus released no swarm of fighters, no flashing missiles, no endless beams of light. Instead, its weapons whispered, and entire Varrock cruisers were erased. Hulls cracked open like paper, shields melted, and ships that had ruled battlefields for centuries burned in seconds. The delegates gasped. Many screamed. Some fell to their knees. It was not a battle. It was slaughter. The 30 Varrock ships tried to retreat, but the Erebus hunted them like prey. Its weapons bent space, struck from impossible angles, tore apart engines and hearts alike. Within minutes, the Varrock fleet was gone. Not one ship survived. And still, the Erebus stood untouched. The human captain's voice echoed across the council chamber. You asked for fleets. But Earth does not send numbers. Earth sends names. Each one is a legend. Each one carries fire enough to burn empires. The chamber was silent now. Even the serpent diplomat who had cursed humans could only shiver. The old gray-skinned scholar whispered the truth with shaking lips. Legends, they sent us a legend. But fear lingered. Because if Earth had one ship like this, how many more waited in silence, hidden in the dark? The council did not yet know. But the Varrock Horde would learn soon enough. And for the first time in generations, the galaxy began to whisper in fear, not of the Horde, but of humanity. The ruins of the Varrock fleet still drifted in silence. Broken metal floated through the stars like bones after a feast. The galaxy had expected a long, bloody war, but the battle was over before it had even begun. The Orion Council sat frozen in their chamber. None dared speak. The image of the lone human ship, standing untouched among wreckage, haunted them. At last, one voice broke the silence. It was the serpent diplomat again, but now her tone was soft, almost fearful. What What kind of weapon is this? What kind of species builds such destruction into a single ship? The human captain's voice answered, calm and steady. His hologram stood before them, a figure in dark uniform, eyes sharp but controlled. Erebus is not just a weapon. It is a warning. A warning? Asked a third ambassador, his manner trembling. Yes, the captain said. Humanity does not fight for glory. We do not fight for conquest. But when you call us, when you beg us, understand what comes. Earth will not send thousands of ships to bleed slowly in war. We will send one, and that one will be enough. The council still did not understand. Some were too shocked. Others whispered of arrogance. But far away, in the shadows of their empire, the Varrock horde was already preparing a response. Their warlord, Drazkal the Iron Fang, smashed his fist on a war table. His tusks dripped with blood from where he had bitten his own lip in rage. 30 ships destroyed. By one vessel. Lies. But his generals looked uneasy. They had seen the reports, the wreckage, the raw terror spreading across the colonies. It was no lie, my lord, one muttered, voice shaking. The humans, they have weapons we do not understand. Drazkal's eyes burned with fury. Then we will crush them with numbers. We will show this galaxy that no human trick can stop a true horde. He ordered 500 warships to gather. 500 vessels, carrying armies that had wiped out entire civilizations. They would all fall upon the lone human ship and tear it apart. News of this reached the council quickly. Panic spread. Delegates shouted over one another. 500 ships. No vessel can survive that. The human captain only stood calm, his face unreadable. Then let them come, he said softly. The council chamber erupted with shock. You're mad. They will overwhelm you. The human's eyes narrowed. Erebus was not built to run. It was built to end wars before they begin. On the docks, alien citizens gathered, watching the black ship in fear and awe. It had not moved since the first battle. It floated in silence, as if it were asleep. Yet all could feel it, an invisible weight, a presence that pressed on their hearts. The ship itself felt alive, like a predator waiting for its prey to come closer. Children hid behind their parents. Warriors who had fought all their lives lowered their weapons when they looked upon its dark hull. And in the great halls of alien empires, whispers spread. Why only one ship? Do humans have more? What other names do their ships carry? If one Erebus can burn fleets, what could 10 do? What could 100 do? The fear was worse than the battle itself. Days later, space trembled with the arrival of the Varrock horde. 500 warships spread across the stars, black and red banners glowing, their engines burning like a sea of fire. The galaxy watched, certain that this time, the humans would fall. The Varrock commander opened a channel to the Erebus. His voice was full of hate. You survived once, human. You will not survive again. 500 ships stand ready. You will die. The human captain finally smiled. Do you know what happens when a legend is challenged? The Varrock commander growled. Legends are nothing against numbers. Then let history decide, the captain replied. The battle began. The first wave of Varrock ships fired. Beams of red energy and missiles brighter than suns filled the void. The galaxy held its breath. The Erebus moved. It vanished. Not warped. Not jumped. It simply was not there. The Varrock fire struck only emptiness. Then the darkness itself seemed to turn against them. Weapons that bent the very laws of space ripped into the Varrock fleet. Warships split apart without ever being touched. Soldiers screamed as systems failed and entire cruisers went dead, floating helpless in the void before exploding into silence. The galaxy watched as 500 ships died like 30 had before. The Erebus still stood untouched. In the council chamber, no one spoke. No one dared breathe. The human captain's voice returned, cold and final. Do not ask Earth for fleets again. We do not need fleets. One is enough. The galaxy was not the same after the second battle. 500 warships, gone. A horde that had crushed civilizations, destroyed by a single human ship. The Erebus had not only won, It had made the Varrock horde look weak, almost helpless. Whispers spread faster than light. In every marketplace, in every spaceport, in every palace, beings spoke in hushed tones. Humans, what are they? How can they build such ships? Are there more waiting in the dark? Fear turned into something stranger. Some species began to see humans as protectors, saviors with unmatched power. Others saw them as a threat worse than the horde itself. And in secret corners of the galaxy, plots began to form. Inside the Orion Council chamber, the arguments raged. They must be controlled, shouted a diplomat with a plated exoskeleton. If they have more ships like Erebus, no empire is safe. They could conquer us all without resistance. Another delegate slammed his fist. Controlled? Did you not see what they did to the Varrock? Do you think anyone can control them? No, we should beg them to guard us. But the serpent diplomat spoke quietly, her forked tongue flicking. No. Protection is only the first step. Today they fight the horde. Tomorrow they may fight us. We must learn their secrets before it is too late. The human captain listened to the debate in silence. His image flickered calmly on the holodisplay, but his eyes saw everything. He knew the fear. He knew the suspicion. And he said only one thing. Erebus fights for peace. If you wish for war, then fear it. If you wish for safety, then stand with it. And with that, he vanished from the chamber. While the council argued, far away in the black void of space, the Varrock horde bled. Warlord Drazkul raged as report after report came in. 500 ships destroyed. Worlds abandoned. Armies broken. His empire, once unstoppable, was collapsing. But Drazkul was not finished. He gathered his strongest warriors, his most ancient weapons, and in the deepest forges of the horde, he awakened something forbidden. A ship older than empires. A relic of conquest from long before the council had formed. It was called Bloodfang, a war titan, the size of a moon, armed with weapons that had once devoured stars. For centuries it had been buried, too dangerous even for the horde to use. Now, in desperation, Drazkul brought it back. When the news reached the galaxy, terror grew once again. Bloodfang, the name alone carried weight. Even the Erebus had never faced something of that scale. The Orion Council panicked. Some begged the humans to send more ships. Some wanted to flee the core worlds. Some even suggested surrendering to the horde before the Bloodfang was unleashed. But the human captain answered simply, one ship is enough. And so the Erebus moved, leaving the docks of the Council's capital world for the first time. Billions watched as its dark hull slid silently into the void. It was not a fleet, it was not an army, but somehow, it felt heavier, more dangerous, than any fleet the galaxy had ever seen. The Erebus traveled alone toward the horde's territory. Across the stars, species held their breath. It was as if the entire galaxy had paused, waiting to see if one legend could truly face another. On the command deck of the Bloodfang, Warlord Drazkul stood tall, his massive body armored in steel. His eyes glowed with madness and rage. He looked at the small black shape approaching in the distance and laughed. That tiny shadow dares to face me? This galaxy will see the truth. Humans are nothing but insects. And today, I will crush their legend. When the two ships finally met, space itself seemed to shake. The Bloodfang was so vast it blotted out the stars. The Erebus was small, silent, a knife against a mountain. The galaxy watched. The council watched. Even those who hated humans could not look away. The battle began. The Bloodfang roared, unleashing firestorms that could melt moons. Space boiled with energy, stars trembled with its fury. The Erebus dodged, vanished, reappeared, its movements impossible, like shadows bending around light. Weapons struck. Darkness clashed with fire. Every second felt like eternity. And yet, the Erebus still stood. The galaxy held its breath. Legends had met. But only one could remain. The void shook with fury. The Bloodfang unleashed storms of fire, weapons that had not burned for centuries. Entire moons would have been shattered by its blasts. To the galaxy watching, it seemed no small ship could survive. But the Erebus did not break. It danced. The black human vessel slid through beams of death as if the weapons moved too slow. Each strike from the Bloodfang tore holes through empty space, never finding its target. The Erebus vanished, reappeared, curved through impossible angles, like shadows folding across a wall. From the council chamber, billions of eyes watched the live feed in horror and awe. No one spoke. They could only see a giant monster of war trying to kill a ghost. Inside the Bloodfang, Warlord Drazkul roared. His tusks glistened with spit. Coward! Stop hiding, human. Face the Horde with honor. On the Erebus, the human captain's face remained calm. His crew sat in silence, their hands moving smoothly across glowing controls. They did not shout, they did not panic. The Erebus moved as if it were alive, responding before the enemy even fired. The captain whispered only one word. Strike. The Erebus answered. From its black hull, a silent wave spread. No missiles. No glowing beams. Just a ripple across space itself. For a heartbeat, the galaxy thought nothing had happened. Then the Bloodfang screamed. Its outer armor cracked. Energy shields collapsed. Whole batteries of weapons went dark in an instant. The War Titan shook as if something had bitten deep into its heart. In the council chamber, delegates gasped. Some fell back from the screens, unable to believe what they saw. The Serpent diplomat whispered with fear. That ship, it bends reality. This is no weapon of flesh and blood. This is something else. But though the Bloodfang trembled, it did not fall. Warlord Drazkul slammed his claws into the command chair. His voice thundered across the bridge. Repair systems. Double power to the core. We are not defeated yet. The Bloodfang's ancient heart awakened fully. A sun burned within its chest, a forbidden engine of pure destruction. The ship glowed red like a star ready to explode. Then it attacked. The Bloodfang released its ultimate weapon, a spear of energy that ripped through space itself. It tore open the void, breaking gravity, shattering time for a moment. Anything caught in its path would be erased forever. The Erebus could not dodge. The spear struck. The galaxy screamed as the human vessel was consumed in white fire. For the first time, the black shape of the Erebus disappeared. Nothing remained. On worlds across the stars, fear spread. Was the human legend destroyed? Was the Horde victorious? On the Bloodfang's bridge, Drazkul laughed until his throat bled. You see, the legend is ash. The galaxy belongs to the Horde. But in the Orion Council chamber, the old grey scholar did not move. His eyes glowed with strange knowledge. Wait, he whispered. Legends do not end so easily. And then, the impossible happened. The flames faded. The light of the spear vanished. And in the shadow of the burning void, the Erebus stood untouched. Its black hull gleamed as if nothing had touched it. Not a single mark. The galaxy froze. The human captain's voice cut across every channel, steady and cold. We do not break. We do not burn. Erebus does not fall. The Bloodfang howled in rage. Drazkul's hands shook with fury. He screamed at his crew, all power, all weapons. Destroy it, or I will kill you myself. The ancient Titan unleashed everything. Beams, missiles, storms of plasma, a rain of death that could wipe out fleets. Space filled with fire. The Erebus moved once more. It flowed through the storm, untouchable, unbreakable. Every weapon of the Horde struck only shadows. And then the Erebus answered again. Its black hull opened, revealing something the galaxy had never seen. A weapon of silence. A weapon with no light, no sound. It pulsed once, and space itself shook. The Bloodfang cracked apart. Its giant body split like stone under a hammer. Explosions ripped through its core. Fire poured from its wounds. Warlord Drazkul roared in madness. No. I am the Horde. I am eternal. The human captain's final words echoed as the Titan fell. No empire is eternal. Only the legend remains. And with that, the Bloodfang was gone. The fall of the Bloodfang echoed across the galaxy like thunder. For centuries, the Horde had been the unstoppable nightmare, and their greatest weapon was now nothing but fire and ash. Billions watched the live feeds in silence, unable to believe what they had seen. The Erebus returned from the battlefield untouched, its black hull gleaming as if it had never fought. No scars. No cracks. Only silence followed it, a silence heavier than any roar of victory. On council worlds, people cheered and wept. Species that had lost entire colonies lit great fires in honor of the humans. Songs spread across the stars, praising the ship that destroyed the monster. But not all celebrated. In dark corners, fear grew stronger. If the humans can destroy the Horde's greatest weapon so easily, whispered a scaled general to his advisors, then what can stop them if they decide to turn against us? The serpent diplomat who once mocked humans now hissed in quiet meetings. Do not be blind. Today they are saviors. Tomorrow, they could be masters. Erebus is not a protector, it is a chain waiting to bind us. And in the ruins of the Horde, warlord Drazkul still lived. His body was broken, his ship gone, his empire collapsing, but his hatred burned hotter than ever. He swore vengeance. He swore the Horde would rise again, and this time, he would shatter humanity itself. Back in the Orion Council chamber, the human captain appeared once more, his face calm and unreadable. The delegates rose to their feet, shouting in both thanks and fear. You have saved us all, cried one. You have shown us power we cannot match, shouted another. Why only one ship? How many more legends do you hide? The captain's gaze swept across the chamber. His voice was quiet, but every delegate leaned forward to hear. Erebus is not the only one, he said. But one was enough for this war. The council chamber erupted into chaos. Whispers turned into panic. If there were more ships like Erebus, then Earth held power beyond imagining. The old grey scholar finally rose. His voice was shaky but wise. Do not ask how many they have. Do not ask what other names their ships carry. For if you knew, you would never sleep again. And so the humans left the chamber, giving no answers, only silence. But silence is dangerous. Soon rumors spread faster than light. Some said Earth had 10 ships like Erebus. Others claimed 100. Some believed they had a fleet of thousands, each carrying a name of legend. The galaxy did not know what to believe. And in not knowing, they feared the worst. Meanwhile, the Erebus drifted quietly in the dark, far from the council's capital. Inside, the human captain stood alone in the command room. He stared at the stars, his hands folded behind his back. One of his officers approached carefully. Captain, do they suspect? The captain's voice was calm. Of course they do. That was always the plan. Let them fear. Fear is stronger than fleets. The officer hesitated. And the others? The captain turned slightly, his eyes cold. They are waiting. When the time comes, their names will be spoken. And the galaxy will remember them. For a moment, silence filled the room again. Then the captain whispered to himself, almost too quiet to hear. Erebus was the first, but not the last. Back on alien worlds, shadows gathered. Some empires secretly began to build weapons to match the humans. Others sent spies toward Earth, desperate to uncover the truth. And some, terrified by the thought of more legends, began to plan strikes, not against the Horde, but against the humans themselves. Yet while suspicion grew, a darker threat stirred. In the farthest edges of space, beyond even the Horde's reach, a new signal awakened. It was not Varrock. It was not human. It was something older, something forgotten, and it had felt the fire of Erebus. A whisper spread across the void, cold and alien. The humans are awake. The legends walk again. It is time. The galaxy had been afraid of the Horde. Then it had been afraid of humanity. But now, something else had begun to move. Something that made even the humans turn their eyes to the dark. For the Erebus was powerful. But even legends are tested when older nightmares return. The stars had grown restless. For weeks after the fall of the Horde, the galaxy had lived in uneasy silence. Every world whispered of the Erebus. Every empire feared the humans. But in the farthest reaches, beyond mapped space, something older stirred. The first signs were faint. Mining colonies stopped sending signals. Outposts went dark without warning. Merchant ships vanished in empty space, leaving behind only fragments of broken hulls. At first, the council believed the Horde was striking back. But the few survivors who escaped told a different story. Their voices trembled as they spoke. They were not Varrock. They were something else. They came like shadows. They devoured light. Weapons did nothing. The council chamber filled with panic. A new enemy. Now. After the horde. The serpent diplomat hissed sharply. It is no coincidence. The humans have awoken something. Their Erebus burned too brightly, and now old things rise from the dark. But the grey scholar only shook his head. His eyes were haunted. No. Not awakened. Returned. Long ago, before the council, before the empires, there were others. Beings of the void. The old ones. I prayed they were gone. The human captain appeared in the chamber, calm as ever. His uniform neat, his eyes steady. What did you see? He asked the survivors. The broken miners shivered. They did not use ships like ours. They were alive. Whole fleets of living shadows. They swallowed the stars. They ate our screams. A cold silence followed. Even the bravest warriors lowered their eyes. The captain's voice was firm. Name them. The grey scholar answered, voice shaking. They were called the Umbrith. The Eaters of Light. They destroyed empires long before we were born. We thought them lost to time. The captain's eyes narrowed. They are not lost. They have returned. Panic spread like wildfire. Delegates shouted. Armies demanded answers. And for the first time, even the serpent diplomat looked afraid. If the horde could not stand against Erebus, how will anyone stand against the Umbrith? The human captain answered simply, we will. But even he knew the truth, Erebus had limits. Against fleets of shadows that swallowed suns, one ship would not be enough. And so Earth answered in silence. Deep in hidden docks across the Sol system, vast doors opened. Names that had not been spoken in centuries whispered through the dark. Ships older than the council, forged in secret wars, stirred from their slumber. Thanatos. Nemesis. Ragnarok. The galaxy did not know how many there were. Perhaps 10. Perhaps more. But one truth became clear, Erebus was not alone. Meanwhile, the Umbrith struck again. This time, they attacked a council core world. The skies burned black as their living ships rained down. Cities vanished under their dark storms. Defenders fought bravely, but their weapons turned useless against the shadows. The council cried out, send Erebus. Send the humans. Only they can stop this. The Erebus came. It fell upon the Umbrith like a blade, tearing through their living ships with impossible strikes. Once again, it moved faster than light, bending space, shattering fleets. The shadows screamed as their bodies burned. But this time, it was different. The Umbrith did not fall easily. They adapted. They learned. For every shadow ship destroyed, 2 more rose. And when the Erebus unleashed its silent wave of destruction, the Umbrith split apart, reforming as if nothing had touched them. On the command deck, for the first time, the human captain frowned. His voice was low. They resist. They learn too quickly. The officer beside him asked nervously, Captain, can Erebus hold? The captain's reply was cold. Erebus always holds. But this war will not be ours alone. The battle raged for hours. Finally, with a storm of silent fire, the Erebus broke the Umbrith lines and forced them back into the void. The world was saved, but at a terrible cost. Cities burned. Millions lay dead. And still the shadows lived. In the council chamber, fear grew deeper than ever. The serpent diplomat trembled, her tongue flicking nervously. If even Erebus bleeds to stop them, then nothing can save us. The grey scholar whispered the truth no one wanted to hear. The old ones cannot be destroyed by strength alone. They are endless. They are hunger itself. But the human captain stood tall. His eyes were hard as steel. Then we will teach hunger to fear. Erebus was the first. Now, the others will rise. And with those words, the galaxy realized something terrifying. The humans had not only saved them. They had not only destroyed the horde. They had brought back their own legends, ships that had been hidden, silent, waiting for the day when the dark returned. The Erebus had lit the fire. Now the storm was coming. The galaxy held its breath. The Umbrith had returned, and for the first time, even the Erebus had struggled. Shadows that ate light, fleets that rebuilt themselves, hunger that never ended, it seemed nothing could stop them. Worlds burned. Stars went dark. And fear grew sharper with every passing day. But Earth was silent no longer. In hidden docks across the Sol system, the names awakened. Ships that had slept for centuries lit their cores once more. Thanatos, Nemesis, Ragnarok, Hades, Leviathan. Each name whispered through the void, a weight of dread and awe. The Orion Council begged for fleets, but the humans gave no numbers. They spoke only names. And when those names came forth, the galaxy trembled. The day of reckoning came when the Umbrith gathered at the edge of the Council's space. Thousands of their living ships poured from the dark, blotting out entire constellations. They had come to devour everything. The Council panicked. Armies prepared to flee. Whole species prayed to their gods. Then the sky split open. From the black came the Erebus, leading the way, silent and unbroken. Behind it, one by one, the others emerged. Each ship darker than night, each hull etched with scars of forgotten wars, each carrying a name that made the galaxy shiver. The human captain's voice cut across every channel, calm and final. You asked why Earth sent one ship. You feared its fire. Now you will see the truth. Earth does not send fleets. Earth sends legends. And today, all of them rise. The battle began. The Umbrith surged forward, their living ships shrieking. They poured like a black ocean, endless and hungry. But the human legends answered. Thanatos struck first, tearing holes in the void itself, erasing whole squadrons of shadows with every pulse. Nemesis followed, its weapons bending time, striking enemies before they even moved. Ragnarok roared, unleashing storms that split stars, burning the darkness with fire no shadow could hide from. Hades drifted silently, its touch withering the Umbrith into ash. Leviathan shook the void, a ship so vast it dwarfed even the Bloodfang, its weapons crashing like worlds colliding. And always, at the center, the Erebus cut through the shadows like a blade, its silent wave tearing apart the Umbrith again and again. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. For the first time in memory, the Umbrith screamed, not in hunger, but in fear. Yet the battle was not easy. The Umbrith adapted, splitting apart, reforming, learning with every strike. Even the human legends bled under their endless swarm. The void itself seemed to shake under the war. On the bridge of the Erebus, the captain stood tall. His eyes were calm, but his voice carried steel. They will not stop. Not unless we break their heart. Signal the fleet. Prepare the chain. The human ships moved as one. They formed a circle around the Umbrith swarm, their weapons pulsing in rhythm. The void bent. Space twisted. Even the stars flickered as the human fleet wove a prison of fire and shadow. The Umbrith shrieked, but it was too late. The humans had built this trap long ago, for this very enemy. Their ships were not just war machines, they were keys. The captain raised his hand. Now. The legends struck together. Their combined fire tore the void open, creating a wound in reality itself. A rift, blacker than black, opened wide. The swarm of Umbrith was dragged toward it, screaming as the rift pulled them back into the abyss they had crawled from. Thousands of shadow ships vanished into the wound. Their screams echoed until silence fell. Finally, with one last cry, the rift collapsed, sealing them away once more. The void grew quiet. The Umbrith were gone. The galaxy was saved. On council worlds, beings wept with relief. They cheered for the humans, sang their names, and swore eternal gratitude. But in the council chamber, the serpent diplomat whispered coldly, "They are saviors now. But who will save us from them?" The grey scholar only shook his head. Pray you never need saving from humans. For when their legends rise, nothing stands in their way. On the bridge of the Erebus, the human captain looked out into the stars. His face was calm, but his words were heavy. The galaxy fears us. That is good. Fear keeps the peace. But remember this, Earth never wanted conquest. Earth wanted survival. And if darkness ever rises again, the legends will rise too. The fleet of names drifted back into the void, silent and unseen. One by one, they vanished into shadows, leaving only whispers behind. And across the galaxy, no one slept easily. For they all knew now what the humans had hidden. One ship was enough. But Earth had many. And each one carried a name the galaxy would never forget.